Alrighty. Welcome everybody to a stream by the Crossroads. My name is Scott. This is our Game of Thrones reread, and we are starting book 2. After a couple weeks off, we are starting book 2, and it is called A Clash of Kings by George.
It's really our Clash of Kings reread then.
Yes, our Clash of Kings reread. You're absolutely right. That's why I call it a Song of Ice and Fire reread, usually, because it encompasses all the books, Stig. It encompasses them all. So let us say hello to our panel. And we have the great Miss Martin Muses drinking her tea. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I don't know where the tea came from, but it sounds good to me.
I assumed.
Actually, I'm having peppermint coffee.
Well, drink it now.
Peppermint coffee. Drink your tea.
We're watching. Drink it.
I have.
Actually, I do have a pot of tea. I just got done drinking about an hour ago. I can go heat the kettle again, Speak.
Oh, there you go.
If you want me to. I mean, he has such a commanding voice. I got to obey.
He is a commanding man. He gets me a little nervous sometimes. I have my coffee right here the Knights. What were you saying?
Knights.
Here we go. Hold on.
Oh, you're lagging.
Am I lagging that bad? Okay, you guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, so let's talk about him.
Yes, that was one ugly hat he was wearing, and it makes his ankles look fat.
Fat ankles are not something that a spork should have. I completely agree. But let's do a little bit of shilling though for that opening. I got to admit, when he started that, when we got going after being away for about a month or so, I got a little bit of the warm and fuzzies. I got the chills. It's kind of neat. It's so epic, that introduction.
Yeah. It really is kind of cool. I like it, especially when the dragon lands. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at all the gang in the audience.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to do Sporking's job. Hello to everyone in the chat for joining us. We have Who Flew the Salt Must Flow saying, hail everyone. Well, hail to you too, sir, even though you're wearing an Arsenal jersey. and then we have Hey from Jayne Theory. And Macany90, the best mod in the business, is in there. And he does great artwork too. So buy his drawings. Who else? Tina Bojan, who is here every time because she's loyal. She's a loyal subject. And she said, "Good evening, friends. How did the day fly by so quickly?" Well, that would be time itself. Who else? Mr. Scotty says, "Here we go." Well, here we go, Mr. Scotty. I hope you stay for the whole thing, and welcome. Then we have one of the McCabe's, Sam, this time. He says, "Hey, everybody. Hope you are all well." Yes, I am all well. And all of us are all well, too. Are you all well, sir?
Except for me. But I'll tell you what, I did see that is an Arsenal jersey. So,
yeah.
See, I'm a little more tolerant, though, of different teams. I can accept that other, teams exist, especially if they're red.
There is one team, and that team is Blackburn Rovers.
Oh, Lord.
I see.
Where are they from?
Blackburn Rovers.
Blackburn, England?
Yeah. That's my team.
Oh, all right.
Blue and Whites. One of the founding clubs of the English Football League.
Is that this Who News the Salt Must Flow? Is that one of their jerseys, or is that somebody else? That Liverpool?
No, that's Arsenal.
That's Arsenal. But Blackburn is in the Champions League right now. They're not in the Premier League.
No, they're not in the Champions League. They're in the Championship.
My bad. Wow. But they're not Premier League, so technically it's okay for him to be Arsenal because that's Premier League, and the other one is Blackburn.
Blackburn is one of the 7 teams who has won the Premier League. And also the smallest club who has won the Premier League.
Do you know, though, they don't use their hands?
That's because it's called football. It's
Soccer,
real football.
right?
Yeah, it's real football.
Soccer.
Mhm.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean,
use their
it's
feet.
real. I mean, it is a foot and a ball, so I guess you have a valid point there.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
the football in the United States is rugby with "Please don't hurt me, let me wear armor."
Yes. The problem with the armor, though, now Australian rules is definitely rough, and rugby is rough too. The difference with, and I'll agree with you now, but back in like the 90s and the 80s, the armor just made them throw themselves at each other at incredible rates where I don't care who you are. That's painful. But now that they've changed the rules, so you can't lead with your head, you can't lower your head, you can't drop them like a guy who's not looking. You're right. The NFL has made me sad, but when in Rome, let's read a book, I guess.
Exactly.
Their brains now. They don't want to do concussion.
Well, the free folk wouldn't like them anyways because the free folk do not kneel.
Exactly. And there you go. And CTE, they say could be as bad from football collision as in headbutting, or what do you call not dribbling, but headbutting the soccer ball when they use their heads.
Headbutting the soccer ball is nothing. I've done it probably 20,000 times.
Oh, that answers so many questions. Yeah. So, my good friend Who Knew the Salt Must Flow is here, one of my channel members. I want to thank everybody, mostly my channel members, and anyone who has sent a super chat or super sticker. Miss Martin Muses, that goes to you. Because, and Jane, I think you've sent me one in the past, and Stig, I love having you here. I appreciate everything because I am about $200 away from the computer that Culture Casino built for me, which I'm going to purchase after Christmas because you get better deals. So it might actually drop in price, but this thing is going to be dope. And hopefully the age of me dropping out, going robot and stuff like that will be something we laugh about from my past.
Oh, no more robo-sporking.
If it gets worse, I'm going to laugh more.
Yeah, you know what? That's my biggest fear, that none of it's going to help. It's just my internet company sucks. McKinney90, good afternoon and welcome to a stream by the Crossroads GOT Book Club stream. Please share and please smash that like button. Definitely share it out, guys, because notifications mean nothing. McKinney, I also want to let you know I added you to the Winds of Winter chat, so you can add yourself in the back if you have anything you have to private chat us with. I don't know why I haven't done that earlier.
He can add himself in the back. Really?
Yeah, that didn't come out right.
It didn't come out at all. It just went in.
Yeah, it kind of went in the back. We're not talking about Elliot Page today. We're talking about a Game of Thrones, a Clash of Kings, and Tina Bojan is ready. She says, "Good evening, friends. How did the day fly by so quickly?"
I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over too. I think I told Saturday night I got 11 stitches in my pinky finger. It is unbelievable how injury on one hand screws, and I'm a lefty, but screws off, and it's on my right hand, but it screwed me all up. My balance, my coordination. I didn't realize how much stuff I pick up with my right hand. I don't know why I'm telling this story. It just popped into my head, but yeah. So
did you lose a finger to the devils?
I came close. Did I not introduce you guys yet, or did I?
It's possible.
You did, Teresa.
You know why? Because I fell out. I did Teresa. Oh God.
Hey, he's married.
Yes, I am happily, very happy. And let me introduce my guest and partner in crime next to me, Jayne Theory, the festive Jane. How are you, and where are you in watch hours?
Hey guys, I am at 667. That's what I need. Wow. That's what's left. Yes, so close.
So I am going to run it for the next, how long your videos go. All you do is go to Jane's main page, look at her uploads, and hit play all, and just let it go. Let it go. I mute my, sometimes I listen because it's ones I haven't seen. Other times I just mute it because it's in the basement, and I go upstairs and I think everybody should be helping her out, and
Yes,
also helping out
please.
Sam. Yes, we will. We definitely will, guys. You have to. If you want to check out awesome stream, who was your guest on Saturday night?
Nerdrotic.
That was a good show.
And you.
I had fun.
So
well, no,
somebody jealous.
I actually thought you should say me first, but whatever, it's fine. Gary. Ooh, I'm Gary. He knows how I feel. Everybody. Oh, it's such an honor. It's Gary. The guy has a big beard. He's a nice guy. I want him on this show just because I love his takes on Game of Thrones. But our little panel kicks ass. I wish Lady Tauriel was here, but she's not. But Stig Kenobi is. How are you, Stig?
Hi, I'm well.
Hold on. I'm getting it, Stig. Don't yell at me. It's been a while.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll read that thing.
Yes. And while you're getting prepared, everybody, Sam McCabe, he has a great channel. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Check him and his brother Nick out. They are guests or panelists on The Dump. So check them out.
You need to announce the king thing.
I was just about to. Please, everyone, welcome the first of his name, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. He'll say all this. His name is Stig Stannis Baratheon Kenobi.
Lord of Dragonstone, Master of Ships, King of Westeros, Lord of Storms and King of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm. All who deny that are my foes. Let no man claim ignorance as a defense. They'll bend the knee or I'll destroy them. The cold winds are rising. Time to hail to the king.
Ooh.
Wow.
That was good.
That was hot.
He's the king of the north.
I'm actually getting competent at this now.
Yeah, that was a good one. You added a little
good.
extra into that one. I like that.
Yeah. I felt my
very
chest hair
good job.
grow.
It was nice. Talking about
Yeah.
Sam, there's Nick. Nick joined, and we also have Brutal Morningwood is here.
You joined in
and-
the nick of time.
Yes, he did. Oh, nick of time. And Brutal Morning would rise to the occasion. Here we go. Let's take off your picture. And so we finished Game of Thrones.
I completely forgot about something.
What's that? Are you going to show your books?
There you
Oh,
go.
there you are. I knew something was wrong.
Yeah,
I have script White Walker or the, script other. That's my avatar. So guys, we read the first book. George wrote the first book in 1996, and I believe the second book came out, go figure, 2 years later in 1998. And I think he still had a plan to make this a trilogy till he kind of got into the meat of this. Does that sound correct to you, or is it the next book that he just said screw it? Because if he was going to make it a trilogy, this would have to be the book that he says, you know what, I'm going to have to do more than 3. What do you guys think?
Yeah, because this is where given how this book ends,
Right.
this is where we can have a pause, right? Potentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. The 5-year jump too, right?
Yeah, it would be possible to do a 5-year jump after this book.
Yeah. Well, I think there's one clue, someone that Arya meets along the way. We won't spoil it. But Arya meets somebody on her journey that if there was the 5-year jump, he would have been set up perfectly to be what I think they did a Dark Star for. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Would you say, Stig, that proves the 5-year jump? Like up until the end of this book, he was still planning it, and it must have changed. Or anybody on the panel who wants to jump in on that one?
Well, sure. I've not read it. This is my first time, so I'm not sure.
Oh, that's so exciting. I love that. So you read what? The prologue in the first 2 chapters?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me get your take, general take on those 3 chapters. Did it get you pumped up to read the whole book?
Yes, gosh, the chapter with Stannis. Oh my gosh, that just kicked butt from here to eternity, to the moon and back and over and behind all the galactic aliens that are about ready to invade. It was really, really, really good. And I must admit a bias, because I've always thought Stannis was a bit of a bit lame and tame, because I'd only known him from the TV show, and I keep being told, no, he's badass. No, oh my gosh, don't you know how awesome he is? I'm like, no, I don't. He looks like he's a dork. So I believed people. So when I read this, I'm like, ooh,
complex.
And even Sir Davos kind of was a little bit different and a little bit.
Wait a minute. He looks like he's a dork.
Wow.
Oh,
I mean, he's balding a little bit, but balding guys are pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the way he was in the show, because, you know, the final impression is the final impression. And the final impression we got of him was the way he was in season 5 and 6, where he just became, I mean, I was ready for what's her name to just chop his head off. It's just like, gosh, put us all out of our misery. So I'm enjoying getting to know the real Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah. So I have a question for Jayne or Stig, because we've read all the books. Now, I personally feel like the actor who played Stannis, with the material they gave him, did an excellent job giving me what I thought Stannis' demeanor would be. But I think what Teresa's touching on is the quality of writing in the later seasons ruined that character. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there was no quality in the later seasons in terms of writing. The actor did a splendid job. He even had the gritting of the teeth sometimes. That's
he got the jaw like bulging out.
Stephen Delane is a grossly underrated actor. If you have HBO, go watch the John Adams miniseries where Paul Giamatti plays John Adams.
Right.
Stannis plays Thomas Jefferson splendidly.
Oh my gosh, that is him.
Yeah, he does a great job.
I've like seen
he
it
does
200.
a great job.
I didn't even notice. Holy crap.
Now, Jayne, what do you think? And Zakarat 315, good to see you, my brother, and Memes of Destruction. Jayne, what do you think? It was the writing, right? Because I agree with Stig. His acting was awesome.
I think he did it. He actually very much embodied Stannis for me. The writing was terrible, but I don't think it necessarily took away from the aura of the character. I mean, it still felt like Stannis. It's just that he was making decisions that didn't really make sense. But that's true for all of the characters near the end.
Right.
It was like, bad writing, but it was a great character and a great actor. Absolutely. I now can't imagine anyone else in that role.
That's what I was just about to ask you. Can you imagine anybody else playing it? Like, Robert was Robert to me, even though the character wasn't as physically the stature Robert is in the book. I feel like he captured Robert's, I don't know, like zest for life.
Yeah. That big, jolly, fierce, used to be a fighter, but now he's just, reliving the old days and trying to have fun.
Right.
Not really wanting to take responsibility.
And just addicted to it all.
Yeah.
Addicted to it all. Stig, like him, Tyrion, Stannis, Tyrion, Ned Stark, even though he doesn't look anything like what Ned Stark should, but he totally caught the character. And Robert, those four to me were as close to what I can imagine like the book characters being. Everybody else a little bit different. But
I thought Ygritte was spot on, and Sam.
Oh yeah, Ygritte and Sam, definitely. I guess a bunch of them were. If you now think about it, like Maester Aemon, that guy was perfect. Perfect for that role. But let's take a look at who's what's her name? Oh my God, Daenerys' simp. What's his name?
Jorah.
Bear Island. Yeah.
Oh, Jorah.
No, Jorah. I imagined him a different character. I don't know, but what a great actor too. So the beauty of yeah, I guess so. But the beauty of the books is you create your characters. I'm glad that I read the books before I saw the show, because there's now a kind of a mix of show characters and the ones I've imagined in my head. But you know, that's me because I'm crazy.
Here's the thought, though. Given that all of them were aged up for the show,
That's true.
The guy who plays Jorah, if they had cast the characters at the right age, would have made a fine Tywin.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a definite, because I think Stannis at the beginning of this prologue that Stig's about to read our summary. Everybody, we get usually our summaries from Westeros.org, which is a wiki of Ice and Fire. We usually read our summary of the chapter there, and then we discuss. But I think he's like only like 34 at the beginning of this book. So that's a big difference from the actor and what, you know, I understand why they aged him up, because they didn't want Dany at the age of 13 doing what they did to her on her wedding night, even though it was nothing like that in the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Still, it's bad. It's yeah.
Yeah. Well, and she was just so sexual. Even if it was consensual, it would have been all the cops.
Well, yeah. Medieval though. I mean, 13. Yeah. It's because they always talk about their flower. Have they gotten their flower yet? It's like, oh God, that's just not right. But
yeah, you were fair game.
Anybody, yeah, except fair game. Oh my God, you're a property at that point. Does anybody have anything to say about A Clash of Kings generally before we start with Stig? Anybody?
10 out of 10 book.
10 out of 10 book. I'm with you, man. It's about to get good. All right. Stannis was also, I never saw this, The Tunnel. I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I've seen it. It's 3 seasons. It's a crime show. It starts with a murder in the middle of the tunnel between France and England.
Okay.
And a cop from England has to team up with a female cop from France and solve the case.
Sexy time. All right. I might have to check that out. Toba Moss says, I spotted Stannis and Miss Marple the other month. Is that like a restaurant or something?
Miss Marple. Well, that's Miss Marple, the detective.
Oh, I'm a moron. Thank you.
I love Miss Marple.
Like, I've never even heard of it. I'll have to check that out too. Ooh. Darren, like my father before me. He is here this fine evening. And also Mason is here. He has a great channel. It is, oh God, Mason, you kill me every time because you use the other account. Free folk of, just link your, go back to your other account, Mason, and just put it in the chat so McKinney can find you and drop your link. All right. So let us begin. And it's going to be Stig reading part of this summary, because in the book I have, this prologue's like 29, almost 30 pages long. So we're going to do a couple paragraphs and then take time to discuss. So go right ahead whenever you're ready, Stig.
Yeah, I'll just read down to the bird on the page. And then we'll...
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Maester Crescent broods on the omens all around him on Dragonstone. When news arrives that the Stormlords will not support Stannis' quest for the Iron Throne, Crescent comes into conflict with Queen Selyse and the Red Priestess Melisandre over what course to take. In a desperate attempt to kill Melisandre, Crescent creates poison wine. Shares a poison wine with her, but dies while she remains unaffected. Okay, that's spoiler. Spoiled the whole chapter. Sorry. Anyway, synopsis. Maester Crescent watches from his balcony as the red comet spreads across the dawn over Dragonstone like a wound in the sky. The feeble 80-year-old chides himself for considering it an omen, yet he has never seen a comet so bright nor of that color. It is even visible during the day now. At the same time, hot steam has begun to issue from vents beneath the Dragon Mount volcano, and a white raven has arrived from the citadel, declaring the end of the longest summer in living memory. 10 years, 2 turns, and 16 days. That's the longest summer. Too many omens to deny. It is enough to make any man believe in omens, but the old maester cannot decide what they might mean. Crescent's eventual successor, Maester Pylos, interrupts his thoughts with words that Princess Shireen wishes to see the White Raven. The title princess is a new appellation for the young girl, now that her father Stannis Baratheon is king. Crescent bids Pylos show her in. The shy princess enters, followed by her shuffling fool Patchface, who wears a mock helmet made from a bucket with antlers and cowbells. John Talks commercial. Perhaps once Patchface was a good fool, but now he has lost his wits and is incoherent as often as not. Only Shireen laughs at his antics or cares about him at all. Shireen's face is unattractive, even discounting the disfigurement from a bout of grayscale that nearly claimed her life as an infant. Shireen asks to see the White Raven, and the Maester will not deny her, since she has been denied too much during her life of almost 10 years. She's the saddest child the Maester has ever known, and he considers her another mark of his failures. While Pylos goes to fetch the White Raven, Crescent thinks how the solemn 25-year-old Pylos is not a good match for Dragonstone because grim places need lightning. Lightning. Okay, sorry. However, a Maester does not choose his post, and Crescent recalls coming to Dragonstone himself 12 years ago with his lord, though he never liked it here and never considered it home. Of late, he wakes from restless nightmares of the Red Woman. Crescent often does not know where she is. Crescent asks Shireen why she's up so early. The girl explains that she had nightmares of dragons coming to eat her. The Maester remembers that she has always had nightmares, thinking of the many dragon-inspired statues and buildings of Dragonstone. Crescent attempts to comfort her by explaining that Dragonstone was once the westernmost outpost of the ancient freehold of Valyria. The dragon towers were created to make the fortress seem more formidable. He explains that the Valyrians had long forgotten the ways of shaping stone and used them to make thousands of stone dragons on the island. Shireen is unconvinced, telling him that the Red Woman says the thing in the sky is dragon's breath. Crescent explains that it's only a comet and will be gone soon. Pause.
That's great. Real quick for anybody, the comet we're seeing is the same comet that flew over the funeral pyre that Dany walked into and birthed her dragons. So far, Jayne, what do you think about what we read?
Yeah, there's a lot there to sort of unpack. You have the comet itself being described as the brightest, the reddest, the clearest comet they've seen. So it's clearly meaningful in some way. Then you also have the volcano erupting. So there's your ash, right?
Right.
The longest summer has suddenly come to an end after 10 years. And Shireen, who's always had nightmares for some reason, is now having nightmares involving dragons. And I wonder if those dreams have always been planted, perhaps. Maybe these have been visions more so than dreams. And and it makes you wonder what their source might be and why she was chosen to have them in the first place.
Well, one thing I could say to that is Robert's claim to being the king after they overthrew Ares was that his grandmother was a Targaryen. So she has Targaryen blood in her, and Targaryens are known, only Targaryens are known to have dragon dreams, which can be prophetic. So is that saying something?
It might be saying something about other characters that had similar dreams.
Right. Well, didn't one of them say it in the last book? Correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Didn't Tyrion talk about having dragon dreams? I hope I didn't just do that. Okay. So real quick too, I didn't tell you guys, we try not to spoil anything past the chapter we're on. So we could talk about everything in Game of Thrones and the chapter, but if we do spoil anything, it has to not be past the book we're on right now, which is A Clash of Kings. So going forward in the chat, just remember that, because we do have first-time readers like Miss Martin Muses. What did you think about it?
Oh, well, I talked about my initial thing, but help me out here. I don't recall the comet and all that being in the TV show. If it was, it's gone over my head. But I found myself incredibly struck by the comet this time around. I guess because I had just finished reading a Game of Thrones and we'd seen the significance of that. And then that we start it off with this king, another claimant to the king, and they're seeing the same comet. It really impressed upon me that we are now into the world of the supernatural.
Right. Now, the comet was in the show.
Okay. I don't remember it. Yeah.
The end of the first season, you see it when Dany walks in, and then the good part of the second season.
Yeah,
all different people.
Which is ironic because it's in the sky, so it would go over her head.
You ass. That is a good one. But yeah, in the second season, which also in the second book, I'm not going to spoil anything, but what I do enjoy is different families, different cultures, all have their take on what this red comet means. And real quick, hello to Raging Rhino. He was my guest on the Saturday edition of The Dump. We had such a good time. We're going to do it again.
Oh.
Yeah, he's awesome. Raging Rhino's awesome. I love when he goes off. So Teresa,
I like a little head on this iPhone thing.
Yeah, right. It's a Christmassy Raging Rhino. So right off the rip, we're in Maester Cressen's prologue, but it's really the first time we're seeing anybody in the Stannis camp. We hear about Stannis all through Game of Thrones.
Yes.
But we don't actually see him until this book. And that had, deliberate from George to build up this character. Really don't have a question to that. I just thought, like, when you first read, because he's not even really at the beginning of this one. They kind of just talk about him, and I think he's towards the end. What did you gauge, even through the book, of Stannis in the book?
Well, if you're referring to me, like, so far,
yes.
It's only one chapter. There was something.
Well, not even one chapter. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Not one chapter, but you kind of touched on it before, the difference between the show and the book. But Stannis. Oh yeah, because you're not even farther. I'm sorry. You're only three. You are 3 chapters in, correct?
Yes, I read right along with a lot of ye. So
okay, so remember that question when we get farther into the book, because I'm going to ask it to you. I'm so sorry. Do you have anything else on what Stig talked about so far in the summary?
I was struck by the little girl, the little princess. The description, the saddest little girl you'd ever seen.
Right.
And dang, we're talking about people where, you're lucky if you live past infancy, and a lot of morose children and all that. And the idea that the writer, that George R.R. Martin, this is his the first impression we were getting of this child. And it's making me very sad. It's like, what a sad little girl.
Right. And in the show, Stig, she seems to be like the bubbly one. Everybody goes to actually like get them out of their sad state, you know, but yet Maester Crescent is saying like her life has just been sad.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that she has this disease that made her disfigured, which also is, you know, a terrible thing, especially when women, it seems like in some of this world, they're very ornamental. But paradoxically also, if you wanted to be disfigured, being the future queen is a good position to be in, because you're not going to, kind of very similar with Tyrion. Yes, he's a dwarf, but since he's who he is, he's not going to be shoved up into an attic or locked away or drowned at birth.
And actually, like she will be married to somebody from one of the great houses. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, not being mean to her, but like that person is the one that's going to be like, oh, this sucks. But we're marrying into somebody who's claiming to be the king, which from Game of Thrones, we learned he really is the true heir to Robert's kingdom.
Yeah.
Right, Stig?
Correct, Sir Davos.
Well, I told you.
And help me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the plan, didn't they mention that it was going to be Robin, a little son of Jon Arryn? That was what they were kind of thinking of, maybe?
What's that?
That was who they were going to match her with, and that they wanted to foster him over with Stannis? Crazy lady's son?
Yep, you're absolutely right. They talked about that in Game of Thrones, where they were going to foster little Robin, but in multiple places with Stannis, and some said with the Lannisters. He is somebody that would be probably one of the only like 5 or 6 families that could marry a princess at that level. Like, you know, you have the great houses, you have the Aarons, the Starks, the Lannisters, the Tullys. In the Reach, you have the Tyrells, and then in Dorne, you have the Martells. I wouldn't see them matching her with anybody else, so it would be either Robin or Bran or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I spotted one of George Martin's little Easter eggs.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah, Dragon Mount. That's straight from Wheel of Time. He's done a lot of Robert Jordan references in the books, and that's one of them. Dragon Mount.
Right? Didn't you point out last when we were going through Game of Thrones, or one of our Winds of Winter, that he named a knight after him?
Yeah, it was Sir Trebor Jordain of House Tor.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor is Robert backwards. And then Tor is the publishing company that published the books. And there was something about Sir Rigney as well, because that's Robert Jordan's real name. Right.
And he slipped in his favorite football team. Well, his favorite football team's the Jets, but he slipped in the Giants with 1-1. And the Dallas Cowboys with the knight he is attacking. And I am going to shut up now. Lord Krakenhead 33. If you're going to be crippled, better be rich, a rich cripple. Tyrion Lannister.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. What did you get out of what you just read, Stig? And after you talk about it, we'll move on.
Well, it's a good setup. You know, it establishes Dragonstone. After just a few pages, we kind of know what it looks like on Dragonstone, and we start to know the situation. We're immediately told through Crescent's point of view that stuff is happening, and not all of it is good. And he's suspicious about Melisandre and maybe others.
Right, and you're already getting in the prologue, you're already getting the idea that, like Davos is somebody who is loyal to Stannis, but Sir Crescent or Maester Crescent is someone who raised and loves Stannis. Maybe the only person.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we read on a little bit more unless somebody has something to throw in? Well, all right.
Also, we're told early on that Melisandre, the Red Woman, is influencing Shireen.
Oh, I missed that part. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'll continue. Shireen states that her mother says the White Raven means it's not summer anymore, and the Maester confirms that it's true. Then he goes on to tell her about the White Ravens and how the Citadel has determined that summer is over. Crescent says that it is hoped that there will be a warm autumn with a bountiful harvest. He knows that a long summer is said to bring a long winter, but does not want to frighten the child. When she asks if it will snow, the Maester says it will, but he prays it will not be for years yet. Then Pylos returns with the White Raven, and the Maester introduces the Raven to Shireen. Shireen is delighted to learn that it can speak. Patchface begins to sing. The shadows came to dance, my lord. Dance, my lord. Dance, my lord. Foreshadowing. Hopping from one foot to the other. The shadows came to stay, my lord. Stay, my lord. Stay, my lord. He jerks his head with each word, and his bells make a clangor. Shireen declares that Patchface has been singing that song often lately, and it scares her. She asks the Maester to make him stop. Crescent thinks back to how the old Lord Stefan Baratheon found the fool in Volantis while seeking a wife for Rhaegar Targaryen. Upon their return journey within sight of home, their ship sank, killing everyone on board. Patchface was washed up on the shore 3 days later, naked, cold, and clammy. They took him for dead, but then he coughed up water and survived, albeit broken in mind and body, hardly capable of speech, let alone wit. Many suggested that it would be kindest for Crescent to let the mad boy die, but he refused, and now he wonders at that decision. Crescent assures Shireen that Patchface is just rambling and does not comprehend any of what he says. Pylos, who went to fetch Crescent's breakfast, returns to inform him that Sir Davos Seaworth returned during the night and has been with Stannis most of the night. Crescent complains that he should have been notified, as it is his duty to advise the king. Asking pardons of Shireen, the old man has Pylos help him hobble with his bad hips to the Stone Drum, the main keep of Dragonstone. He passes windows from which he can see 3,000 men in the camp outside the wall, and the anchorage filled with ships, since no ship that has come within sight of Dragonstone has been allowed to leave. Once inside the stone drum, Crescent leaves Pylos, stating that he wants to see Stannis alone. He ascends the stairs. As he ascends the stairs, he regrets leaving Pylos. He meets Sir Davos coming down the stairs. Davos reveals that his last mission as envoy to the Stormlands has been a failure. It is as Crescent warned. The Lords sworn to Storm's End have no love for Stannis and will not support his claim. Instead, they have joined with the Lords of the Reach in supporting Stannis' younger brother Renly. News of Renly claiming the crown leads Crescent to worry for the youngest Baratheon. When Sir Davos mentions that Renly has instituted a new Kingsguard, Crescent recalls that Renly was always fond of games and rich fabrics as a child. "Look at me, I'm a dragon, and look at me, I'm a wizard," the boy was always shouting. Crescent sees Renly's bid to be king as nothing more than another game. "Look at me, I'm king." Crescent asks Davos if he could bring Stannis any hope, but Davos insists that the only hope he could bring has been the false sort. This leads Crescent to recall that Sir Davos was once a notorious smuggler who sailed a black ship past a red wine blockade in the dead of night to deliver onions and salt fish to Stannis' starving garrison during the siege of Storm's End. It allowed them to survive until Lord Eddard Stark could lift the siege. Stannis knighted Davos for his deed. However, as punishment for his past misdeeds, Stannis cut short all of the fingers on Davos' left hand, except for his thumb. Davos had insisted that Stannis do the cutting. Crescent realizes that a man like that would give no false hope to Stannis. Sir Davos declares that if Stannis marches on King's Landing now, as is his intent, with so small an army, it will only be to die. Crescent responds that Davos has done all he can, and that it is now his turn. Pause.
So much to unpack there. There is so much going on. So let's just first take Patchface. So Patchface, and I'll tell this to Miss Martin Muses because she's reading it for the first time. Just like in a Game of Thrones, when people say pay attention to what Old Nan says, you pay attention to what Patchface says. So we have Lord Stefan, who is Robert and the boys, Stannis and Renly's dad. Him and his wife go to Essos, go to Volantis, trying to find a match for Rhaegar because Aerys wants to it's to disrespect Tywin Lannister and not marry Cersei to him. He wants somebody with good Valyrian blood. And in a letter to Maester Crescent from Lord Stefan, he writes about Patchface being this, funny and energetic young man who does cartwheels and juggles and makes jokes. And he hopes that he will even teach Stannis how to smile. Well, in the cove where Storm's End is, Shipwreck's Cove, right off the coast, there was a massive storm and the ship went down right where Stannis and Robert were watching. So they actually saw their parents die. And then Patchface then is found 3 days later, and all he does is mumble these weird riddles. So Jayne, on anything we just talked about, but Patchface, what do you think about him?
Oh, I think he died. I think he died, and I don't know who this new person is or who's speaking through him. But I don't think of a coincidence, and I don't think that what he's saying should be taken lightly either, like you were saying before. He's clearly prophesizing what's coming next. But I do wonder what's behind it, though, because if he drowned, we could be talking about the drowned god. Or, as we've discussed before, they could all be the same thing. But his premonition or what have you about shadows coming and shadows staying, I think is something we should pay very close attention to.
And that's exactly what Toba Moss said. He said, "The shadows come to stay, my lord. Stay, my lord. Stay, my lord." Yes. Ominous much. Like, yes.
And he's been saying it for a while, according to Shireen,
to the point where he scares Shireen, who is like the only person that actually really likes him. That's why they keep him around. And I forgot this. She was scared of him at that moment. So yes, something important about what he's saying. And we have discussed, are they all one God? Well, I know that whatever it is, he drowns, and when he revives, he spits up water, just like they do when they do the sacred drowning of one of the Ironborn for the, so is he talking? I mean, he keeps talking about the ocean, but we'll see that later on. But it's definitely the drowned god, I feel like, or, the squishers, whoever was down there, he's speaking for. Anybody else want to talk about Patchface or anything else we discussed in that moment?
Well, just to reiterate, we have a lot of suspicious people dying, but then, oops, I guess they're not. It's a miracle.
Right.
Or is it?
Yeah. And you would think in this world people would be more suspicious. Like, how did you survive? And why are you talking like this?
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, maybe not kill
Like-
him right off the bat, but you would do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's like feeble-minded and he rambles and he doesn't do anything he was meant to do. And think about it, because when that happened, Robert, Stannis, and Renly was really young. They were all very young. So, people think, oh, they kept him for Shireen. No, he was kept, because, well, they didn't know what else to probably do with the kid other than put him out of his misery. Because like, where did someone put it? He was Patchface, Lord Kraken Head 33. Patchface. I have a very bad feeling about him. Dude was legit dead. His skin even felt cold, if I remember correctly. And that is correct. And you can't tell with his face because it's already tattooed. His whole face looks like a green and yellow checkerboard. So you can't tell if he is super pale or dead. You know what I mean? It like covers up him being dead.
What also stood out. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say too about Renly. As a kid, saying he was a dragon and saying he was a wizard. I wonder if those reflected dreams he was having, as well.
Oh, I never thought of that.
No, he was. He thought he was a dragon. He thought he was a king, but in reality, he was a pansy.
Oh,
yeah. Well, that's a question I then have. Do you think George? Because when we talk about the Seven, there's a lot of rainbow like coalition, what I'm trying to say, with the Seven, and I don't know if they actually say it in the prologue, but it'll come up. He starts his Rainbow Guard, which is like the King's Guard. Do you think he did that on purpose because of Renly's sexuality, or do you think
it
was
been.
just? I almost think George didn't even realize.
Was it a rainbow thing back then when he wrote it, though?
You see, I was about ready to say, it's relatively new.
Yes.
That started up like in the late 70s.
Right, and this book was written in 96.
Oh, yeah, if it started in the 70s, then it fits.
Yeah.
Because I remember being in school as a sophomore, and when I went to an all-boys school, and one of the kids was wearing a necklace with rings of all the colors of the rainbow, and I was like, that's really cool. I was like, I would rock one of those, and he had to explain to me what it meant. And I was like, I won't rock one of those, but that is still pretty cool.
Why would George though bring it into a thing? Because that would be something like bringing the modern world into something that seems almost reverse anachronism. That
I legit think he didn't mean it. I think it was just kind of like a happy mistake when it came to Renly and this Rainbow Guard. But yeah, talking about Renly always wanted to pretend he was the dragon. He was the wizard. And now he's pretending he was the king. Because don't forget, when he talked to Ned Stark, he was supporting his brother. He wasn't even really supporting his brother. He was just talking, let's grab the kids, keep them safe away from Cersei, and we'll figure it out. And then you find out he's connected now with the Tyrells, even though he was asking questions about Robert and, would Marjorie remind Robert of Lyanna? I wonder if the Tyrells got into his head and made him think he could do that.
But that's the thing. I'm wondering if there's been someone in his head all along. Because his opinion did change. It could have been the Tyrells, but it could have also been whatever is giving him these, perhaps if he's having them, dreams.
Right.
Of envisioning himself, seeing himself this way, as powerful as a dragon, and then later as a king.
Right. Right. What do you think, Stig?
I don't know. Could be.
Well, let me ask you this. We also find out that,
Hey,
they talk.
you
Oh, go
know
ahead.
why? You know why? The Baratheons have Targaryen blood, so who's to
Yes.
say Renly doesn't have dragon dreams?
Right. And that's what I was saying about Shireen too. And he has more, if anything, has more because it was his grandmother, not his great grandmother. So it could be,
Oh, and
dragon dreams.
Shireen has, when she was a child, she suffered a trauma
Mm-hmm.
and nearly died, same as Bran.
Right. Opening up that third eye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also find out about, Davos and how he lost his fingers, how he smuggled in food when everyone left Stannis holding Storm's End. Stannis held it for the entirety of the rebellion. When, they ate all the food, they started eating the rats, they started eating their horses, the leather belts, and people disrespectfully call Sir Davos the Onion Knight because he smuggled in things like onions and other other food. But you see the black and white justice of Stannis in that moment, because you see that, okay, I'm going to give this man a knighthood because he's the only one that came to our aid, but I'm also going to cut off all his fingers except for his thumb because he was a smuggler prior to that.
But such a man is
Probably
consistent
so.
and reliable then, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I did
Well,
not admit. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Have we been told anywhere where, why Davos decided to smuggle the stuff in?
I can't remember if he says it in this one or a Davos chapter, but I believe it's in this book, correct? Or is that later on up in place whatever?
Yeah, because I don't remember why he did it, because he's a smuggler, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he just did it willy-nilly, it seems very weird.
Well, let's not even thinking about the book. I think he did it hoping that he would get, first of all, people were dying, but also he thought he could make money, and once he got in there, he realized he couldn't, and he still gave them the food. And in a way, he got paid back, 100-fold.
That's what I think too. Is he's good at it. He knew he could do it to help the people, and if you're helping someone that powerful, you would expect at the end of it to get something, not including your fingers getting cut off.
Yeah, I don't think it was purely out of his goodwill. I think he thought, this is going to work out if I can do this. Because don't forget the Red Wine fleet that had a blockade. So the Tyrells were on land sieging the castle, Storm's End. The Red Wine fleet, which was the most powerful, is still the most powerful, landlocked Westeros, or not landlocked, but continent of Westeros navy, had a blockade. No one could get through. And this guy on a little dinghy, got his way through all these ships without being seen underneath, into the harbor, which, you got to give that guy some props for that.
Still though, if you're a smuggler and you see Storm's End under siege, right?
Mm-hmm.
By a huge army, and the people inside are starving,
mm-hmm.
the people inside the walls wouldn't be the team you're betting on.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think that was his gamble. Like, if I help these guys make it through, because I don't know where it was in the rebellion, if Davos knows that they're dying in there, but knows that Robert is winning the actual war. So maybe that had, I really don't remember. I know Davos does discuss it later on in the books. And real quick, my brother, one of my original, fourth wave friends, won Immortal Coil for $2. Hodor, indeed. I agree, my friend. Guys, make sure you are subscribed to Immortal Coil. Usually he does a Wednesday night after the dump. He does his own Savage Perspective stream. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you get notifications on that. Another thing you find out, which is huge, is that, Renly, or not Renly, but Stannis goes through all this, holds this castle, which is the seat of House Baratheon. And after the war, because he allows Dany and her brother to get away, Robert gives the castle to what I think maybe a 5-year-old Renly to be lord, and makes Stannis. Now, you can look at it two ways. Stannis became Lord of Dragonstone. Now, at the time, Robert didn't have any heirs. Usually the person controlling Dragonstone is the heir, but it has no income, very small vassals, but Storm's End is very profitable with a lot of houses that are sworn to it. And he took it as a slight that he never forgave Robert for. Just something I throw out there. Anything else you guys caught in this one?
Maybe just to circle back about why aren't people sitting around thinking, hey, there's something weird about this guy. Obviously, he's back from the dead. Meaning that, I'm just saying that, remember, there's always that suspension of disbelief. It's the same way that's absurdly shown often in those horror movies where they're like, there's no such thing as vampires.
Right.
Because it's something that is so wild and so far out there, we don't see it. It's
right.
It's like the alien invasion that we know is going to happen tomorrow. I mean, no one's going to believe me till it happens because it's so far out.
But I mean, they're such a suspicious society. Like they believe in this stuff. It's real to them, right? So it seems out of place.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Don't forget, they haven't had real magic in, I think the last dragon died out 150 years before this. And, they haven't, it's almost like it's their history and starting to slide into legend, like the others and the walkers. And, and then you have this kid who for 3 days, where was he? I can't imagine they thought he was underwater dead. I'm imagining they thought, oh, we just missed him washed up. Look, now he's breathing, but yes, he was cold to the touch, and now he's talking in these weird, granted, we see it as maybe prophetic because we're reading it and learning about things that happen, but they probably just think, oh, Jesus, this guy, like what a crappy deal we got with this guy being here.
Yeah. Speaking of Jesus, 3 days. He was dead.
Yes.
He is dead 3 days.
I always thought it was 2 days, but
I thought you just said 3 days.
I did say 3 days. I'm sorry. You're right.
Oh, my bad. I'd have to reread it. Okay, so then forget the analogy. But to bring up the Jesus thing too is it's perhaps a superstitious society, but I belong to a religion, and a lot of people do. 1 billion in the world, we believe that some dude rose from the dead after 3 days. But I can tell you this: if I were to go to people at my local parish, say, "Hey, I was dead and I just got raised," and they'd be like, right. "Yeah, metaphorically." It's like, "No, I was dead. I was raised." They'd think you were freaking crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's one thing for Jesus to have done it 2,000 years ago, but not you.
Yeah, that's faith. Jesus rising is faith. You rising is a tall tale. Like, hey, it wasn't that you just rose. You were underwater most likely for 2 days and then came out and coughed up after you were checked.
Exactly. Though they're fine for legends, but for the here and now, people are going to be a little bit skeptical now, aren't they?
Right. What were you going to say, Stig?
I was just going to cough.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were about to say something.
Say something profound?
No.
Something profound. Okay. What else happened?
Someone rose from the grave and I was coughing.
Now, tell me this. The guy that Crescent says he shouldn't have left alone. What was his name again? He was, I'm blanking on it right now. Yeah. Why is that not familiar to me at the moment?
He's Crescent's potential successor.
Oh, replacement. That's correct. Okay. That's what it was. I couldn't remember. And Okay, we're good. Anybody have anything else before we start to read on?
Not well. If Renly, I'm still stuck on Renly and his dragon situation. If he was calling himself a dragon because he was having dragon dreams, when he called himself a wizard, could that have been a clue to who was communicating with him?
Wow. And who do they talk about that could have been a wizard when he was alive, people thought?
Mm-hmm.
1,000 eyes in one. I didn't think about that. I feel like he reaches out to a lot of people. And it could even not be him. It could be because of that, again, Targaryen blood. It could be something even more, That's a good question. I don't know if I think Renly had him, but I feel like now after rereading, Shireen definitely has dragon dreams.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why she connects.
Surrounding the Targaryen
Right.
family and their descendants.
Yeah, there's always somebody. Look at the Dunk and Egg stories. You have one of Egg's brothers had prophetic dreams. One of the Blackfire pretenders had prophetic dreams. I do believe, maybe that's why Teresa, Shireen connects so much with Patchface, because they both have these weird connections to something magical, something. I don't know.
And maybe he's been coherent to her at different times. His being incoherent may scare other people, but she likes him. So maybe it's because she actually does literally understand him somehow.
Well, I had a thought.
Okay, please.
Slight spoiler from a later book, though. Later on, there is a character that has been dead for a while. And comes back and speaks the language of the dead. Maybe Shireen, after having been close to dying, understands that, and that's some of it is the language Patchface speaks.
Are you talking about that certain person?
That certain person that was in the river for a while.
Oh! I didn't even think about that.
I know that because if you're on the internet, it's my own fault. Yeah.
That person seemed to have learned a new language somehow. So maybe Patchface knows that language too.
Interesting.
And the themes, I'm also seeing the connections we have with Shireen and what you were saying with himself, little Bran and all that. They seem to be going with children, that children always seem to often in literature and perhaps in real life have a stronger connection to the supernatural than the grown-ups,
I agree.
Wisdom and innocence. So that would make sense.
Very valid point. Very valid.
And not be afraid by it. While a grown-up might be freaked out.
Right. Or a grown-up will just not ignore it. Like that didn't happen, where a child will invite it.
Exactly. Like the Polar Express when they quit believing in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Couldn't hear the bell anymore.
Exactly. I like that. Good movie. Anything else on what we just read? We still have some more to go, right?
Oh, we're halfway through.
We'll most likely just do the prologue and maybe Arya. Arya's next. And then we'll hold off on Sansa for next week. But go right ahead, my friend.
Okay. Crescent finds Stannis in the top room of the keep, looking down at the painted table, which is shaped as the detailed map of the continent of Westeros. Stannis greets him with the statement that he knew Crescent would come even without summons. He says that Crescent is now old and needs his sleep, and that he would have learned what Davos knew on his own anyway. Talk between the Maester and the King quickly turns into a rant by Stannis about how the Baratheon birthright of Storm's End, the Stormlands, and its income should have passed to him rather than Renly, when their brother Robert assumed the Iron Throne. Stannis did not want Dragonstone, but when his brother commanded it, he occupied it and built his own built his brother's fleets. It is an old grievance made new by the fact that Dragonstone, ancient and strong though it is, commands the allegiance of only a handful of lesser lords, whose stony island holdings are too thinly occupied to supply the men that Stannis needs to seize his rightful throne. Crescent explains that Robert did him an injustice, but gave him lordship of Dragonstone because a man's strength was needed to hold it, and Renly was just a boy. Stannis declares that Renly is still a boy, a thieving child who has never done anything to deserve the throne. Stannis wonders aloud why the gods inflicted him with brothers. Then he asks about the advice Renly gets from his maester, but Crescent doubts that Renly would seek counsel. Renly is bold and heedless, much like Robert. When Stannis asks what he is to tell the few anxious bannermen he does command, Maester Crescent reminds him that House Lannister is a true enemy and suggests that he join with Renly to defeat them. Stannis flatly refuses. Crescent yields immediately and suggests a partnership with the new King of the North, Robb Stark, who commands all the power of Winterfell and Riverrun. Stannis again refuses, claiming that Robb is a green boy and another false king that seeks to steal half his kingdom. Crescent suggests that half a realm is better than none, and that Robb may even submit in exchange for help in avenging his father. But Stannis remains adamant and launches into another rant about the slights he received at the hands of his brother Robert. I'm skipping the rant because it's not really. It's all been covered anyway. Crescent then proposes a marriage pact between Shireen and young Robert Arryn. Stannis dismisses the possibility of bringing the weak and sickly Robert to Dragonstone, as planned before Lord Arryn's death, because Lysa Arryn is paranoid and hides him in the Eyrie. Crescent urges him to send Shireen and her fool to the Eyrie instead. Dragonstone is a grim home for a child. Stannis now agrees that it is worth a try. Then Stannis' wife, Queen Selyse, arrives to argue that Stannis should not have to beg or bargain for help. They all owe their allegiance to him as the true king. Queen Selyse has been entirely converted to the worship of the foreign god R'hllor by the Red Priestess Melisandre of Asshai. Stannis tells her he needs swords and asks whether she has an army. She replies that House Florent can provide an army, but Stannis retorts that they can only provide 2,000 men, and they are too close to Highgarden. The Queen proclaims that the comet is an omen from the Lord of Light, and that he will aid Stannis in his conquest. Stannis, who does not share his wife's newfound faith, questions how many men the Red God will deliver to him. Selyse insists that R'hllor will provide all the power of Highgarden and Storm's End. Stannis reminds her that those men now support Renly. Selyse agrees, but suggests that if Renly should die, his army would join Stannis. She then notes that Melisandre has looked into the flames and seen Renly dead. Crescent is horrified by the notion and pleads that fratricide is evil. Stannis declared that he has heard Crescent's advice and will now hear hers, and sends the aged master away. Pause.
A lot going on there. A lot going on. Anybody want to start? Stig this time? You haven't started.
We get to see Stannis right away, as he is, because this is there's no real secret, he's just, he is what you see. It's very straightforward. Probably the only completely straightforward shooter in the game, right?
Right. Haven't we discussed that? Like the difference between him and Ned Stark? Like everyone's like, oh, Ned's so honorable. But Stannis he's honorable, but he also is not yielding.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the only difference between the two. Ned will yield, but he also will, you know, a deserter gets his head chopped off, but at other times he may be a little bit easier on someone. Stannis this is the law. I am supposed to be the next king, you know?
Actually, Stannis did yield, though. Because he did agree that, okay, maybe we'll send Shireen to the Eyrie. So he does listen.
Oh, no, definitely. He definitely listens. What I'm saying is what he thinks is right and wrong, he's going to do. So if you give him good counsel, he'll take your advice, but he's still going to do what his moral compass tells him. I don't even know if it's a moral compass. It's like, this is the law. This is the letter of the law. You know, I don't want, you know, Lysa Arryn here, but sending her there might be very strategic because he is a good match for her, and the Eyrie has a pretty large army.
Yeah, nobody wants Lysa Arryn to come visit.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and another way I think that shows that aspect of him is in his relationship with his wife, when he was describing that, they were describing that I don't think that he seemed to show any love, but that very loyal and very dutiful, even when he was talking about when he has sex with his wife, it's like, why, yes, I have sex with my wife because that is my duty. That, you know, because that's honoring the contract of marriage. That's the conjugal act. That it's in every aspect of his life, according to the law, according to what is right, according to what is in good order.
That's true.
But I think we also do see a little crack when it comes to his brother, because he's clearly jealous of Renly and jealous of Ned, because I think he feels that they were favored over him, as you know, in Robert's eyes, basically. And it's interesting that he's listening to advice, and he's listening to all of these suggestions of Crescent, but when he hears that Renly, he can get rid of Renly, or that Renly is going to be done away with and out of the way, he dismisses it. Like, this is the advice I want to hear. I want to hear more about how I can finally get what should be mine. And I think that shows a little bit of a lack of honor on his part, and a bit of selfishness.
No, I agree. In a way, I agree. His honor, you know, like, to him, he is, you know, if Robert's children proven aren't, you know, legitimate, he is the heir, and anyone who says that they're supposed to be king and not him, that's treason. So it's not honor. It's, again, the rule, you know, the law is the law, and that is what it's supposed to happen. And now his little brother, who he even says, you know, he hates having brothers. His little brother is trying to steal his God-given, you know, whatever you call it. I'm blanking right now.
Divine right.
Yeah, his divine right. There you go.
Thank you.
But would he be that harsh?
Thank you.
If he didn't feel like he was an outcast to Robert?
I think he is mad with Renly for being Renly, but also even madder with Renly for what Robert did. And he's never forgave any of them. But don't forget what Crescent says. Like, he was hoping Patch, you know, his own father was hoping Patchface could teach the boy how to laugh. Like, he's been very stoic and very solemn since he was young. And now he feels it's his time, and he was a dutiful brother to his brother who was the king, didn't fight back when his brother put him on Dragonstone. And now it's his time, and all of a sudden people that are supposed to be sworn to him, even though he's not, Storm's End, he is the heir, are following his little brother who has no right at this claim. I think it's fury.
Stannis is right, because Robert screwed up, because his heir, in this case, has been given the smaller army. Right? It's
right.
not smart at all.
Maybe it was intentional. Maybe he thought that, because of these relationships, Robert suspected that Stannis would snap and challenge him at some point. That could have been strategic too. Putting him there.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I don't agree. But that's a good idea.
No, I think Cersei said it that Robert gave Stannis Dragonstone as a slight because Stannis had let Daenerys and Viserys escape.
Right. And Robert was so obsessed. Yeah, go ahead.
That's what he thinks too. But I wonder if there was not this sort of other, because he had to know. I mean, he had to know that he didn't have as good a relationship with Stannis. He would have suspected how he felt about him. Stannis isn't exactly the type to keep his feelings to himself. So I don't know. I think that may have been part of it.
So what do you say it one more time? What do you think was part of it? You think Robert did it for what reason again?
That he may have felt that Stannis deep down felt like he should be king. And if you have a brother who's jealous of you and who doesn't really believe you should be king, then you're not going to, even if he's your heir, you're not going to give him the bigger army, right? You would give the brother you trust the bigger army.
Well,
but that's it right there. You said
the brother, the brother you trusted.
You wanted. Go ahead, Stig.
Stannis wasn't jealous of Robert, though. He was jealous of Renly.
Right. What it was is, I don't think he was jealous that he wasn't king. I think, though you have a valid point, I don't think he thought Robert should have been king.
Yes. Right.
I mean, it was a big deal for Stannis to declare for Robert and not stay loyal to the crown. That was a big deal too, Yeah,
that's very true, because Stannis does say several times that Robert was a bad king because he let corruption and all that fester in King's Landing.
Right.
And Robert didn't want to be king, really. I think Stannis knew all. I think they knew each other well enough to know that Stannis could potentially be a threat.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Maybe. I don't know about a threat, because I don't think Robert, well, you have a valid point for the simple fact that, if anything, Robert hopes people are a threat because he wants to fight. But I don't think Robert never thought he could lose. So I don't think he cared if he was a threat or not. I do think Stannis resented Renly, because Renly also was the type to poke fun at Stannis in front of others on his own account. You know what I mean? So there's a lot I think you're right. There's a lot of harboring of, bad feelings between the three brothers. And when Stannis believed it was his time and only 3,000 men came to his side and the rest went to Renly, I think that was the straw that, brotherly bond is nothing. This is, this is God.
Yeah. Well, not just that. There's always a part of an individual too, especially when you've got the goody-goody brother. He's the honorable brother. He is the one who always plays by the rules, and no one gives a damn because they only just want to sit around and look at and think about and rally to the cute young one who makes everyone giggle and laugh. And that's very human. Not that I relate to this at all, but that's very human to be, all right, Stannis says, he's behaved, he's done this, he's done honorable. And the fact that, why are they going to Renly? Because he's young, cute, and funnier.
Well, don't forget, he's also he looks like a carbon copy of a young Robert.
Well, precisely.
Yeah.
So he's hot.
Right. Yet he is nothing like Robert, but people don't realize that.
Because
He's Henry
people are
Cavill.
superficial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I bet you a lot of people dislike Stannis because, once again, Stannis speaks his mind and what he believes is the truth. And he probably, there was a lot of slights to all the lords out there, you know?
Don't speak the truth. It pisses people off.
Oh, it does.
Exactly.
It does.
The truth doesn't set you free. The truth makes everyone hate your guts.
Well,
The truth
you know
makes
what?
people retweet you.
The truth will set you free if you're not hung up on your own shit. You know, like look at you, Stig. Stig one time was pissed off because I talked over everybody and he just left the panel and we discussed it afterwards. Now somebody could have if I was somebody different, I could have been like, well, that's bullshit. Like, oh my God. Because when you point out people's flaws, they don't want to hear it. I'm good at getting people to point them out because
it was two other people too.
Yeah, Final Death Star. I know he was one of them. And that's
don't name him.
I'll blow him up.
And I told all three equally to fuck themselves.
Yes, he did. And I've never real quick, my respect. No, that's okay. My respect for Stig went up like 3 levels that day. I was like, oh, that's what you want in life. But most people, I would say, aren't ready for it because they're not going to probably like what they are going to hear.
Well, it's pride, but I think it's ironic that I was starting to interrupt you but it wasn't on purpose.
Don't even worry about
I was going to also point out that's also the quality of a grown-up.
Right.
Sometimes it's maturity, but pride. I mean, there's a reason why pride is sometimes considered the worst sin of them all because it leads to all the other ones. Pride, like bad pride. Yeah. You've got nothing to fear from the truth.
Right. If you're willing to hear it and actually realize, like, people, like, if someone tells you the truth, sometimes people, they get hurt by it and they think the person's trying to hurt them when they're really just telling them the truth. I try to be, like at work, I'm like Stig, I'm blunt and I'm honest because I know things can fester and all of a sudden then there's whispers here and people talking shit. Nope. I'm going to go to the person I have an issue with. I'm going to say it to their face. They have an issue back. We could deal with it in whatever way they want to, and then shake hands and call it a day. That's how I feel. About things.
Oh yeah. I have no tolerance for people that go behind people's backs. If you got a problem, go straight to the person. Right. Otherwise, you're just being a girl.
Now, exactly. Now you're taking lords, and lords. If you haven't gotten it yet from the story, a lot of the lords are very weak when it comes to that. They want to be pampered. They want to be told they're great. They don't want to hear the truth. I bet you Stannis really pissed off a lot of lords.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the problem nowadays, though, because especially on social media, you have a lot of you have the echo chambers, right? And people are told what they want to hear because
exactly.
So people suck up and tell them what they want to hear, and as soon as someone tells the truth, they lose their shit. And I'm thinking that might be the case in Westeros as well, because if you're at court, you have all the nobles and stuff sucking up the people, and they're doing exactly the same. It's sycophant behavior, really.
It's just like politicians today. I mean, it's the exact same thing. If they surround themselves with yes men, they're not going to be very good leaders. And this is how we end up where we are.
Right. That's how you get the original Star Wars and the prequel Star Wars. The original, George didn't have, everyone wasn't yes men. On the prequels, everyone said, go for it, George, it's great. And the quality did pay for it. Sorry, Nina Infinity, but it did.
The prequels aren't as good as the original trilogy. Even if you like the prequels, which I do, I'm not going to sit there and say that they're better than the OT. They're not.
Right. No, I've come to enjoy them more. But just some of the writing and acting, just when one of the greatest and most tragic love stories in that galaxy you don't see any of the passion. You see more passion in the Clone Wars TV show than you do in the movies. It's kind of sad, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah,
the prequel. Well, George is a visual storyteller,
Right.
and the prequels is full of symbolism. I mean, when Anakin and Padme are on Naboo, they're constantly surrounded by plants, and it's their Garden of Eden, right?
Right.
That, you have Anakin giving her a fruit.
Right.
Forbidden fruit.
Right.
And then the scene right after that, she shows up wearing BDSM in front of him. Just saying.
I just think, did you feel that there was this forbidden passion between the two of them?
No, and that was the actor's fault. That was Natalie Portman's fault for sitting around going, "I'm good. I suck."
Exactly. She mailed that one in. I'm sorry, we're going off a tangent, but I agree with you completely. So anything else on what we just read, Stig? Anything else that caught your eye with what that paragraph? Because I know we have a few more, but it's good stuff.
I forgot what I read.
All right, so let's read on then.
I'll read it again. No.
Yeah, right. No.
Okay, I'll you know what? I'm just gonna go through the rest of it.
Yeah, just bang it out.
Yeah, because it's a continuing scene, so no place to pause really. Okay, by the time Crescent joins Pylos at the bottom of the steps, he can hardly stand erect and needs to be helped back to his rooms. There, Crescent contemplates his options. He raised Robert, Stannis, and Renly after their father died and cannot watch one kill the other. He knows that everything Queen Selyse said has been preached to her by Melisandre, the Red Priestess. It is she who must be silenced before she can convert King Stannis to her evil schemes and spread her mad religion beyond Dragonstone. Therefore, Crescent goes to the small workroom under the rookery stair and retrieves a small vial of purple crystals, a poison known in Westeros only as the Strangler. Dissolved in wine, one of the small crystals is enough to cause the victim's throat muscles to constrict more tightly than any fist, making it impossible for the victim to breathe. Crescent plans to put one in Melisandre's drink at the feast Stannis is holding for his bannermen tonight. He knows it is a dreadful thing he is planning, but surely the gods will forgive him. As he lays down for a nap, Crescent wonders if the comet is his foreboding murder. Hours later, Crescent wakes to discover he has overslept and is late for the feast. He calls for Pylos, who should have awoken him, but Pylos does not come. So he has to shout for the servants. As he crosses the long gallery, the comet outside the window looks malevolent to him, but he thinks he should not fear. When he enters the great hall, he finds Stannis and his bannermen have begun without him, and Crescent crosses the room. As Crescent crosses the room, Patchface the Fool lurches into him while singing the same song from the morning as they both fall to the floor. Face to face with Crescent, the Fool says, "Under the sea you fall up. I know. Crescent is too feeble to rise on his own, but fortunately strong hands lift him to his feet. When he turns to thank the knight he believed helped him, he comes face to face with Lady Sandra herself, clothed in red silk with red eyes. The Red Priestess mockingly advises him to mind his steps, intoning her religion's prayer, for the night is dark and full of terror. Crescent insists that only children fear the dark. Melisandre gives him a riddle. A clever fool and a foolish wise man, and places Patchface's ridiculous antlered helm upon Crescent's head, telling him, "A crown to match your chain, Lord Maester." All around him, Crescent hears laughter. He removes the crown, fighting his rage. He tells her he needs no crown but truth, to which Melisandre replies that some truths are not taught in Old Town. When he reaches the high table, Crescent sees that Stannis has given his accustomed seat to Pylos. When questioned why he did not wake him, Pylos blushes and states he was told to let Crescent rest and that Crescent was not needed here. Crescent looks at the gaudy knights and captains, aged and sour Lord Adrian Celtigar, handsome Lord Montford Valerian, plump 14-year-old Durham Bar Emmon, homely Sir Axel Florent, pious Lord Gunser Sunglass, and the Lycene Captain Salador San. Only Sir Davos Seaworth is simply dressed. Melisandre sits to Stannis' right, in the place of high honor. Of all the lords, only Davos will meet his gaze with pity in his eyes. Stannis declares that Pylos will now assume all of Crescent's duties, insisting that Crescent is too ill and confused to be of any use to him any longer. Crescent cannot believe that it is Stannis' voice that states this. Crescent is heartbroken by rejection, remembering how he was the one that loved Stannis as a boy. Perhaps Stannis was the one. Perhaps because Stannis was the one who was unloved. Crescent accepts and meekly pleads for some place at the table, though he still feels he belongs at Stannis' side. Of all the assembled lords, only Sir Davos offers him a seat. As Patchface continues to caper about, Sir Davos comments that they should wear motley, since they are about fool's business. Melisandre has seen victory in her flames, so Stannis plans to press his claim, no matter the numbers. Crescent urges Stannis a final time to ally himself with Robb Stark or Lysa Arryn, but Queen Selyse insists that R'hllor is the only ally Stannis needs. Crescent replies that the gods make uncertain allies, and here R'hllor has no power. Melisandre tells him that if he believes that, he should put Patchface's crown back on, and Queen Selyse commands thus. Stannis grudgingly orders the fools to give the crown to Crescent. After the fool places the crown on Crescent's head, Selyse suggests that Crescent sing. Stannis refuses and declares that Crescent has served them well. Suddenly, Crescent sees the opportunity to poison Melisandre. He is close to Davos' cup, which he takes and slips a crystal into. He is sure only Davos notices. Crescent proposes to Melisandre that they share a cup of wine to toast to her god's power. She agrees. Davos tries to stop him, but Crescent insists that he is doing what he must for the sake of the realm and his lord's soul. Before they drink, Melisandre gives him the opportunity to back out, but Crescent refuses. Melisandre drinks most of the cup, leaving only a small amount for Crescent. Crescent pushes away his fear and drinks as well. The ruby at Melisandre's throat glows as she insists that her god R'hllor does have power. Crescent tries to reply, but his throat has already begun to constrict. Unaffected by the poison, Melisandre looks on with pity as Crescent collapses and dies. The end.
You know, what kills me, well, I'm going to ask you guys first. What did you think about the end of the longest prologue, Jayne?
Yeah. There were a couple of things that sort of stood out. The fact that Patchface seemingly tried to stop him or at least warn him that it wasn't going to work. And even Mel acknowledged the wisdom of Patchface by calling him a clever fool.
Right.
So that suggests, like we were saying before, that what he's saying is more meaningful than people think. And that Davos didn't do more to stop this.
Hmm.
Well, I think Davos wants her dead too.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was willing to let the old man do what he needed to do because he's the one that saw it.
Yeah.
I forgot that for some reason in my head, I thought Stannis, when I read this the last time, got mad at them putting the crown, the hat on the maester's head. And I forgot that he allowed it to happen. And then before he would sing, cut that off. Like, this is the guy who raised you when your parents died. You were probably like 9, 10 years old. And he raised you more than any maester. Like, George likes to parallel. And I sometimes see Maester Lewin paralleling with Crescent, an older maester that truly loves the children and the people that they serve.
Mhm.
And that's out the window with Stannis, to a point, it's out the window.
Yeah,
And
it
it
was
goes
actually
back to what
kind
I
of
was saying
sad.
before. He doesn't care though. This guy was like a father figure,
Right.
and he removed him from his position.
Yeah. Well, I understand removing him from his position, but allowing him to be disrespected
Yeah.
is what caught me. I can understand, he's making a calculated thing. I don't need, a maester way past his prime that, should be retiring to counsel me when I have, this red woman that, swears her magic is powerful or whatever. Because again, Stannis, the gods, when he saw his parents die, he stopped believing in any power of the gods, because why would they do that?
I also think, when Stannis mocked Crescent, I think it might be because Crescent also suggested he'd join with Renly and the other traders, basically. So it's already quite pissy with them. And
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, to me, it just seemed very sad because it had been established that this man was more of a father to him than his natural father for several reasons. But to me, it just feels like perhaps maybe he could have just shown a little more respect for his father, if you will.
Right.
Instead of that. I mean, we've all been PO'd, but come on, he's the old dude. And I found it interesting when I read this that I felt that Melisandre was a little nicer to the old man than Stannis was.
Right. She embarrasses him, but she also, shows him the respect of his position, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the way she even gave him a chance to back out. And I got the sense that she wasn't mocking him at all, that she maybe was being a little nicer.
I think she was putting on airs.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what she did?
Mm.
When Patchface kind of foreshadowed his death, right?
Mm-hmm.
Melisandre put Patchface's helmet on him, which is the helmet he will be wearing when he dies later.
Who will be dying? Who?
Oh, Crescent, because they put the helmet back on him when he died, right?
Right. He was wearing,
Yeah. She basically foreshadowed his death after Patchface had hinted at it, right?
Mm.
So she put the helmet on him that she probably knows he's going to be wearing when he dies later. And then the helmet is taken off. And then Selyse has it put back on before he tries to poison stuff.
Right. Now, do you think his plan was to just try to kill her or murder-suicide type thing, like last-ditch effort?
No, I think he just wanted to choke a bitch.
No, I got the impression that he realized, especially when it was going down with Melisandre, that there was a very strong chance that he would die, but that he was going to take one for the team.
Right.
Yeah, I felt that too. It was definitely a sort of murder-suicide because, under the circumstances, she probably knew that he didn't like her, right? He's suspicious. That's no secret. So why would she drink anything that he gave her in any other situation. So to
Right.
prove that it was safe to her, he would say, let's share it, which means
Right.
he's willing to sacrifice himself in the process.
Definitely. Yeah, I thought that was, he knew he had to do that to get her to drink a cup.
Yeah.
And now, do you think she figured it out way before, or did she just like, because it almost is like she knows he's going to try to do something.
Yeah, I think that she had gotten some sort of little prophecy, maybe was looking in her candle earlier and saw it.
Right into her flames. Yeah, no, valid. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think she knew.
She was too sure of herself, like she knew exactly how it was going to go down.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else
for it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I can't really jump ahead, but you see the ruby, glow. Everything with her is red eyes, red hair, red dress, the red ruby, Relore. But don't forget, Relore is also, light creates shadow, and we know Patchface was talking about the shadow. Don't forget what happens with the shadow. She makes sure to tell you that when she's, with Davos later on, that, Relore control shadows are his too, because it takes light to control shadow or to create shadows. So was Patchface even warning them before they fell together? I don't know. I feel like he was. I don't know.
I wonder why he wasn't more suspicious of why she was so confident, like you were saying earlier.
Right.
Like, she's saying things that are weird. She seems to know something is happening. I don't know. I guess maybe he was so focused on what he was doing, he didn't pick up the clues.
Right. That could be it too. Like he just wanted to kill her. He didn't think that she would be able to stop him, because she wouldn't have known that's what he was doing. So,
his mind was racing from all kinds of stuff at the moment too. He wasn't invited. He had been literally canceled, and he was plotting murder. And he thought Stannis was about to kill his brother, right? So you have all that in your head, and then you're going in there to basically kill her, right?
Right.
Probably hard to focus on details,
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you take with Davos so early on? Like you already see that he didn't warn anyone, but he also didn't try to stop Crescent from doing it.
Yeah.
So, like it goes to show you right off the rip, he has issues with her.
Yeah. It actually shows, it tells us that Crescent isn't the only one who's feeling this way.
Right.
And it might be expanded upon in later chapters.
That could be true.
I'm willing to bet on it.
This too is Davos sort of revealing himself to her.
Like not because realizing she'd make it, and now his hand has been tipped.
Yes.
That makes sense, because she always,
She always knows.
She always knows. God, that Melisandre. I'd make a shadow baby with her, though. I don't think we're going to go. I don't think we're going to go into. Well, go ahead. What are you saying, Stig?
2 of them and 3 on Wednesdays.
Oh,
take my life essence. I don't care.
She had red eyes, though. Y'all.
Yeah.
Red
I thought
eyes
that was pretty crazy.
Well, you wouldn't be facing all this anyway. Oh, sorry.
What?
Oh, wow.
Well,
oh, shit.
Well, she does have a pretty red dress. Yes, she does.
Not
yes,
for
she
long.
does.
Oh, sorry. I'll stop.
It's funny as hell. We're gonna stop at the prologue. We'll do chapters 1, 2, and 3 next week. Anything, the whole prologue, what did you think of it? Where does it rank in your, like, because I consider them POV chapters, but the prologue and the, what do you call the one afterwards? Not a post-log.
Epilogue.
Epilogue. This is one of my favorite ones. So where does it place for you guys? Anything, you want to add?
Well, for me, being my first time reading this, and I know I'm very excited because this is where we're getting a little more information I know that I didn't get from the show. I've heard that,
Right.
and as I go further, it's going to really be new territory for me. It was a very exciting first chapter, even though I'd seen most of the events. To me, I felt like the way it was described and some of the dynamics, I felt like it was a little more intense, and it just made me so excited for more. I can't wait.
And did you get, like, okay, so you said it about Stannis, but what about, other characters, even from just one chapter? Did you get, like, wow, the show definitely didn't portray them in this way?
I found that I liked Melisandre a lot better in the book.
Mhm.
I think that she came across not as creepy and weird. I mean, she came across actually as more menacing. I never felt she was menacing in the
Right.
show, but in this, I think that she messed with you a little bit. I mean,
No, I see what you're saying.
it's hard
But
to
you
put
also-
into words.
No, but you also felt there was also a kindness to her, but it was also a power that they didn't show in the show.
Well, yeah, well, like I said, I was very surprised at how kind of nice she was to the dude right before she knew he was going to drink poison and die.
Well, that's what gets me too. It's like, instead of like introducing them in the show with Melisandre burning the idols, like they should have done this, because it just shows you how powerful and like how aware she is and knows what's, it almost seemed like she already knew because like you said before, looking in her flames, she already knew this was going to happen, and she still drank it to prove her point.
And I think that you put the nail on the head, because we were introduced with them with burning the idols. I think the TV show gave me the first impression that we were dealing with religious fanatics.
Mhm.
And in this, I didn't feel like they were religious fanatics. Obviously, there's an aspect of it there I'll probably learn more about, but it seemed to be more like the normal kind of Game of Thrones-y stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
the burning happens later in the books.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
spoiler.
Yep.
But
No
no,
spoiler, but
but
yeah, it's
the
in
first
book.
impression, I'm just saying, is that it was a different first impression this time around.
Right. And that makes sense. Really at this point, it's Celine. She brought Melisandre into this, and Stannis, again, looking at it as a general, like, will she make me a stronger, will it give me a better chance of winning? Yes, I'm putting her on the, and I'll go with this red god crap, but he doesn't believe it, not at this point.
Well,
He doesn't, but I mean, she has to play this right. I think she did position herself intentionally, or was positioned there intentionally. So she's not going to come across as anything but nice. I mean, I think part of what
Right.
she's doing is seducing Stannis as well. She knows the type of man he is, and she has to become the type of person or woman he would want to have around him in order to influence him the way she does.
Right. No, and that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. It's just so I don't know. George's writing gets me. Go ahead, Stig.
Interesting thing. Remember the older references to red eyes, and all of a sudden Melisandre's eyes flare up red for a bit.
Mhm.
It's like that's a hint.
Right.
Oh.
Oh.
Wow, yeah, you're right. So Toba Moss says Mela is the means to an end for Stannis. Get behind her or get out. And then he says R'hllor is like the devil. great rewards for steep prices. What if for her to survive, he had to die?
Yes.
Blood magic. Yeah, that's true.
Sacrifice.
A sacrifice. And, that's why, I never thought of it that way, but that's why the ruby glows, because maybe she's taking his life as, force to save her own life.
Am I allowed to spoil a little bit? Well, it's not even a spoiler. It's just my theory.
In the book, yeah, go ahead.
I think she's dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've brought that up before. I do like that.
She never eats. She doesn't need to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And when she describes her past, she says she was in Lot 7 at a slave auction.
Right.
And when the Lord of Light raised her. The seventh god is the stranger who is death. Lot 7 is foreshadowing, seventh of the seven gods.
Oh,
death.
And the phrasing you just said, Stig, raised. Yeah.
She said that when the Lord of Light raised her.
Oh,
that's what she said.
Interesting words.
Yeah. Anyway, I think she's dead, and that's why the poison didn't work.
Well, we have talked about fire whites before.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know her age. We don't know anything really about her. We just know she looks like this, beautiful, sensual, redhead that now probably has everybody in there believing she is an all-powerful, mage of some sort. So no matter what, I don't know if she felt the need, cause I like what you say, Teresa, she seemed nice, but I almost felt like she was using that niceness to egg on Crescent. She knew she needed this to show a show of strength. Like, my God is more powerful than the 7. So when I switch this whole, king's religion over to R'hllor, people will know why. It's because I'm powerful.
Yeah.
And
yeah, for sure. And also, just the way you just phrased that made me also think that was where she was letting him, give him the chance to back out. Now I was also looking at it perhaps in a different angle, where two dudes that are maybe about ready to arm wrestle and, be like, you can back out anytime you want.
Right.
But maybe that was what it was, and it was not compassion.
Right. Almost in a way of a taunt. Mm-hmm. You're not going to win this. Back out now, old man. Mm-hmm. And this guy is looking at it as, this is my last ditch effort to save my son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only person who loved Stannis was me, Yeah, both sons, exactly. I mean, one's going to end up killing the other, and he knows this. So what is he supposed to do? Just sit there? Whew.
That's powerful stuff.
That's some crazy ass shit. I don't know. Anybody have any final words?
Well, brothers killing brothers like that is straight out of the Ragnarok. Hint.
Oh yeah, huh? But which brothers would it be?
It's just says that patricide and fratricide will happen.
Damn.
Maybe there's.
I'm telling you.
Too. I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, a lot of people. I've looked after we did our, and if you haven't seen it, guys, in the chat, go back. It's probably on my Game of Thrones playlist. We did a Winds of Winter and the mythology of A Song of Ice and Fire stream. I know he took pieces from different parts of history, like the War of the Roses, some from this, but I think the majority, after talking to you, Stig, is based on Ragnarok.
The stuff he took from the War of the Roses seems to be basically the war aspect of it.
Okay.
Of the Ragnarok mythology, because it's supposed to be a time of strife and diseases, patricide, fratricide, and war, all-out war.
Mm-hmm.
Then a very long winter happens, where fire and frost giants attack the gods and humanity, basically.
It's crazy.
It sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it?
It does sound a bit familiar, man.
Now, Stig, when you said the fratricide part, I didn't quite hear the words you said. That are you referring to some characters that are?
I was referring to maybe it will happen in the books too, a case of fratricide.
For sure. What characters
and fratricide and patricide, but I can't.
What's fratricide?
That's
I know
brothers.
That's brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't say that because maybe it will happen in future books that we haven't read on this show yet.
Oh, I'm just curious about the Norse ones because I'm not familiar very much with the Ragnarok. So which ones in there?
It doesn't say. It just says that there's a period of a lot of strife, disease, war, patricide, and fratricide.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You were talking in general. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just sounding a little soft. Maybe I'm going deaf. Yeah.
That bit is only the only information you have about that bit is general stuff.
Understand.
So it's where you put the War of the Roses in, because that would fit perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Well, and I think some of the War of the Roses part, especially a lot of what was going on with Ned, is almost like post War of the Roses. Reminds me a little bit of Thomas More. He's more of a Thomas More character.
This is just a theory I have, though. So it could be wrong, but it looks like if I'm wrong, I'm not too wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh, I definitely know there's more mythology from the Norse gods than I thought. I could definitely say that.
Oh, and the Ragnarok thing it has a lot to do about big wolves. Several of them.
Yeah, you see, that I didn't know that until you had mentioned that, because I'm just not very familiar. There, do have a myth book now. I can look that up.
That's cool.
A Norse myth, rather.
Right.
One in English.
I find it. Yeah, I actually think I need to do a little bit more on it because it's such an interesting story, and George gave it a spin, but we're seeing now a man who believes he should be king and the lengths he'll go to get what he believes is his God-given right. I think that's really cool. Final words? Go ahead, Stig.
And it's established how much into the law Stannis is.
Mm-hmm.
And his claim to the throne is through law, which means he is not going to stop.
Nope. And that's the biggest thing. He letter of the law guy. And now you're telling him it's his time. He did everything a dutiful brother should do. And his younger brother tries to usurp him. I mean, definitely pisses him off. Some awesome stuff, guys. All right, we're going to close it up. I'd like to thank, this chat is awesome. People had some great stuff. Toba Moss, the Time Prophet, Senator Sheev. Good to see you, brother. TT, my brother from down under. How are you? Lady, Lord Krakenhead 33 had some great stuff. Jason C. McKinney, as always, is the greatest mod. Thank you, my brother. Who else? Aaron Baccaresas. I'm sorry, brother. I don't know how to say your last name, but I didn't see you in the chat before. I think I highlighted you and I thought it was another monster because I saw the symbol. So thank you for being here. This is Mason's channel, The Free Folk of Fandom. Don't disrespect Dad Bod Baratheon. If you guys could please subscribe to his channel, I'd really appreciate it. Also with the Time Prophet and anybody else that supports me, please support their channel. It means a lot. We also have Who Knew. We have, let's see, Brutal Morningwood. We had Bone. Oh man, I missed Bone. Bone is here. And Immortal Coil dropped by with that $2 super chat. I really don't understand, man. It means a lot to me. It's going to my new computer. Runner was here. He has a great channel. and Parrot Head was here, and other people were here. Tina was here. Sam and Nick McCabe were here. Raging Rhino was here. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Darren, like my father before me, was here. Again, if I missed you, I am sorry. But let's go around the panel. Zachariah 315. And we'll start with Jayne.
Yes. Hey guys. You can find me here on YouTube where I post television reviews and pop culture news. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram and Parler at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. And Teresa, Miss Martin Muses, please let them know where they can find you. Are you working on any Buffy things?
Actually, no. I don't do Buffy.
I thought you did a Buffy like rewatch.
It's Once Upon a Time.
Oh, okay. Because I was hoping we could do that. I love that. All right, what are you doing right now then?
Well, currently I am, as always, musing upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. And right now, of course, that is the virus which shall not be named. As I've been doing season 2 of the Corona Diaries, doing some stuff on cats, and I am probably going to be doing some reviews of a comic I'm reading right now, The Legacy, from Star Wars, so 100 years after Return of the Jedi. So come see me, Miss Martin Muses, and Teresa Martin, Teresa2_Martin on Twitter.
Thank you very much. Stig Kenobi has another top 5. Where are you at on your channel, my man?
Don't know, but I'm going to be on Alora's channel on Thursday, and we will be talking about Star Wars comics.
Oh, nice.
We're doing we're going through the old Clone Wars comics. We're doing 2 or 3 issues every week, and once per month we're doing the kind of like a book club thing.
Yep.
And we're having people on talking about the old EU novels. And last time we did, the Shadows of the Empire, which you and I talked about, Sporking.
Yes. Yeah, I'm getting on that right now as we speak.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And
Now,
other than that, I'm on the couch reading books and hoping people stay off my lawn.
I haven't watched your most recent top 5, but I heard there's a little Stephen Walton poking in it. Is that true?
Yeah, someone was Waltoning all over the snow. Yeah.
No.
I gotta watch it. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, and Lady Tauriel and McKinney and Gary from Nerdrotic, everybody who's in our DM for this. We keep getting, I had recently, I'm not trying to name drop, but on Jayne Theory's stream, we had Gary from Nerdrotic. On Steven's Tuesday, we had Doomcock, and they both told me to give up my hope that these books will be finished. But like Jayne and I always say, he will finish the books. He will finish the books. Put it out there, people. Put out the good vibe, and let's just hope he does. Because even if he doesn't, and it's going to suck if he doesn't, it has gotten me back into wanting to read, and I will always thank George Martin for that. So thank you guys too. Wednesday night, please make sure you're here 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Humpty Dump. That is the Wednesday dump, where our guest is Kiri Howard from the other side of the world. Awesome YouTuber and cosplayer, and an outspoken person who I really dig. So take care, everybody, and have a great day. Let's put a spork in it.